All right. Hello, and welcome to a wonderful, Monday night. We are here with the Power Hour. We have a great show for you this evening. Today, we're talking with the cast, creators, and directors of an upcoming play. It's a first of its kind, a one of a kind historic play called HUD, Housing Under Distress. And it's going to be talking about the realities and the plights that's facing Black queer people right here in Allegheny County as they try to find and keep affordable housing. So that is the program we have for you later on. So please stay tuned. We're very honored and blessed to have this wonderful, talented cast join us in just a few moments. But today we wanted to just talk about what's going on. As you may have seen, these Allegheny County health numbers came out again when it came for COVID-19 testing. And so we once again are over 1,000 cases and unfortunately up to 10 deaths today for the COVID-19 numbers. As we know, there is this new variant coming through. It's rapidly more, more easily spread. Sometimes it is just mirroring a common cold. Some of the symptoms, and so people still have to be mindful. I know a lot of people were out celebrating the back-to-back wins we had here in Pittsburgh. On Saturday, the University of Pittsburgh became ACC champions, and on Sunday, the Steelers were able to clinch out a win from the Baltimore Ravens. And so people have been out, people have been partying, people have been, not really social distancing or wearing their masks or taking precautions. And so we just want to remind people, flu season is here. COVID-19 is still here. So please, please, please do what you can to protect yourselves. Wash your hands, wear your mask, socially distance. And if you're able to and you feel comfortable, get the vaccine to help reduce the spread. We know a lot is still happening as we close out this year. A lot is going on with the legislature, both locally and nationally. And today, and as first of its kind, the Department of Justice actually announced that they were launching a civil rights violation against the state of Texas for the ways that they have done their redistricting. As we know here in Pennsylvania, because our population did change with the last census, we were having to rewrite our whole entire electoral map, which means all of the districts, your state, your federal, and your local in Pennsylvania is changing. We don't know what they're going to look like. The maps are due between the end of the year and the next voting cycle, so in the next 6 months. So we're looking at the same redistricting that's happening in Texas and Georgia, different places, to also happen here. And so we're just going to play a clip from the Attorney General talking about why they filed this lawsuit and why this is so important for Pennsylvanians to pay attention to.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. Today, the Justice Department has filed suit against the state of Texas for violating Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. As the Supreme Court has observed, a core principle of our democracy is that, quote, voters should choose their representatives, not the other way around, close quote.
The Attorney General.
Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act requires that state voting laws, including laws that draw electoral maps, provide eligible voters with an equal opportunity to participate in the democratic process and elect representatives of their choosing. The complaint we filed today alleges that Texas has violated Section 2 by creating redistricting plans that deny or abridge the rights of Latino and Black voters to vote on account of their race, color, or membership in a language minority group. In a moment, Associate Attorney General Gupta will describe our complaint in more detail. As many of you know, in 2013, the Supreme Court effectively eliminated the pre-clearance provisions of the Voting Rights Act, which had been the department's best tool for protecting voting rights. Earlier this year, I noted that this redistricting cycle would be the first to proceed since 1960 without the protection of pre-clearance. But I also said that the department would use all available authorities and resources to continue protecting the right to vote. In September, the department published guidance based on decades of precedent, explaining that Section 2 prohibits vote dilution. Vote dilution occurs when an electoral practice minimizes or cancels out the voting strength of members of a racial group or language minority group. When we issued that guidance, I noted that discriminatory redistricting schemes are illegal and that the department would assess jurisdictions' compliance with those laws during this redistricting cycle.
And so this is something that we're also going to be going through right here in Pennsylvania. As you know, Fair Districting PA has been leading the fight, as well as a new Pennsylvania project in regards to these districting maps. There's hearings going on weekly about what Pennsylvania's redistricting is going to look like. So please, 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 you want to make sure you're staying abreast and up to date about what's going on with redistricting here, so we ourselves do not find ourselves on the end of a lawsuit. And again, the allegations are that the way the maps were drawn in Texas, similarly to that of the maps that were drawn in Georgia, are meant to reduce the voting power of Black and Brown voters, particularly those who are leaning to a more liberal, progressive slate in heavily red districts. So it's going to be very important that people pay attention to how this case maneuvers through the courts and what the Supreme Court decides. In addition, we know here locally, we are still paying attention to House Bill 2046. That is the bill that regulates the way community bail funds are going to be able to operate within the Commonwealth. So please stay abreast of all of those as well. Please pay attention to our social media, because we'll be putting out calls to action. We know that there was a lot of rallies over this past weekend as the Supreme Court heard hearings that could basically determine whether or not that it's constitutional to really reduce the time period by which people are able to get abortions down to a mere few weeks. That was going on. And so again, there's a lot of stuff happening as we roll into and continue on with this holiday season. And we know people are really stressed out and overwhelmed with things that are happening, but we still have to be mindful what's going on politically and socially, because there are a lot of changes that are happening every single day that impact our lives. And so we want to move on to our wonderful guests for this evening. Like I said at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by the cast and directors of an upcoming play entitled Hud, Housing Under Duress. These are a group of organizers, community members who basically came together and wrote a stage play based on their own lives and experiences, trying to find affordable housing within Allegheny County and the city of Pittsburgh. And to talk a little bit about what this work is, the Heinz Foundation and Project Silk, please join me in welcoming our first two guests, Governor Miguel and Terrence Mcgeorge.
Hey, Miracle. Hey, everybody.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you just both introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about what Project Silk and what Project Matters does in the community?
So I'm Governor Miguel Bell. I am the co-founder of Project Silk, as long with Terrence Mcgeorge. I'm also, my title here is Community Health Specialist. I provide services. My pronouns are he, him, they. So a little bit, I'll let Terrence introduce himself before we get into what Silk is.
Okay. So, my name is Terrence Mcgeorge. I am a community organizer here in the city of Pittsburgh. I do a lot of actions and a lot of call to actions, as you said earlier, around social health, social justice, especially dealing with Black LGBT queer people here in the city. Me and Miguel actually created Project Silk together, and we also created Project Matters together. So, Miguel, take that away.
So Project Silk, we started about 14 years ago. We've been up and running officially for about 8 years. We just had our 8-year anniversary. So what we do is we provide services to the LGBTQIA plus youth and young adults of color between the ages of 13 and 29. We don't turn down help to anyone, but those are basically our demographics. But what we do is we provide a safe space, just for a place for community members to come and engage with other peers, get to know their cultures. We do a lot of art programming and sex positivity discussions and harm reductions and all types of discussions. So you can literally come here and just get to know and engage with your peers. But we also have services that you can come and get on site, such as HIV testing, STI testing, housing services, job education, resume building, clothing, food, and anything that we can't do. We do have a lot of community partners to where we like to call ourselves a one-stop shop, to where we have a referral program, to where, and like I said, anything we cannot do, we know community partners that will go hand to hand with you, meeting you where you're at to make sure you're provided the service that you're needed.
Thank you so much for that wonderful explanation of the organization and the resources that people are providing. So, you're out here doing all of this community work, and you, of course, are experiencing things in real time, such as the housing crisis. Can you talk about a little bit how this play came together?
So I was contacted through a coworker of mine's, and they were contacted by a lady named Liz with the Bridges Home organization. And they were looking for a few community members to come together and build this play. At the time, COVID happened, so we ended up just creating a picture story. But we started to see this gap to where, okay, you know what? I think we do have the capacity to actually put a play on. So at this time, I was the only one that basically was available for the job. And I took it. I have theater background. I thought it would be really, really cool for my community to engage into this, because these are issues that we live almost like daily. We've lived this experience. So who better to put on this performance than my community? So I got in contact with Liz, and I got in contact with all these great leaders in the community. I proposed the idea to them. They all loved it. We came together, we collaborated, and we came up with the play called HUD, Housing Under Distress.
Perfect. And we're talking about community leaders at this time. We want to bring in Mona and Richard to the program so they can talk about, what got them involved, why they're joining, and then we're going to get into some more details about what is going on with housing in Allegheny County. So welcome Mona Jaleesa White and Richard Wilson to the Power Hour. Thank you both for joining us.
Hey, Miracle. Hey, how are you?
Hello, hello. And so you were listening to Miguel talk about how this play came together. Mona, you first, and you, Richard. What brought you to joining this play?
I think it was an experience that we all could relate to, so it made it easier to co-create.
I think for me, it was more so me wanting other people to see this story, because not a lot of people will get to see this side of like housing and stuff like that. So I thought it would be definitely something special to share with the community, and to also share with people in power.
We're not going to give too much of the play away because we want everyone to see it. We've dropped the link in the chat for people to go and pick up their tickets. But we're talking about the experiences that are happening in Allegheny County. Terry, can you just talk about what are some of the I know you're in transit, but can you just talk a little bit about some of the barriers that are impacting people when they try to go and get housing?
So one of the things that really excited me about the project when Miguel Bell had asked me to, help him and be a part of this is that, I'm someone who has been out for over almost 20 years now. And one of the biggest barriers that has always been, I think, for Black people in Pittsburgh is your race uh, plays a factor in where you can live, who will, give you a place, regardless how good your credit is. I have a 660, and we still have trouble, me and my partner, finding affordable housing. But also, there's another barrier that we never get to talk about, which is that your race impacts where you live, but so does your sexuality. And there's a lot of people in the city who will say that they're liberal or that they support rights and all those things. But the reality boils down to is that there's a lot of people in this city that don't get housing just based off the fact that they are Black and LGBT. And so one of the biggest things that really excited me about the play is that we get to talk about a narrative that can shed light on what's not happening, on what we're not talking about. And you make this stuff here. Also, one of the biggest barriers I think that happens is that, a lot of people say they don't want to rent to us because we play music or we smoke or we these or these things. But the reality is that a lot of that isn't true. They want to, if you look at neighborhoods like Homewood or Wilkinsburg, they're gentrified now, or the Hill District, for instance, right? It's not that we're not great tenants, it's that they want to move us out of the areas that we live in so they can up the rent for a higher cost. And so what ends up happening to us is that we get displaced by just existing. And so that's what we're trying to shed a light on with this play, is to talk about the housing injustice and what that looks like for people of color. And so I'm just really excited to tell that story and narrative. And this is the first of many plays that we have coming up. So I'm just really excited about this.
I'm very excited too, and this is like you said, it's an opportunity to shed light. Mona, you said that this was an opportunity to talk about your experiences. Can you share some of your personal experiences as you've tried to get housing in this region?
Um, I feel like I've experienced the landlord-tenant relationship where they were cool in the beginning, and then it was like they didn't want to do my lease, so I had to move abruptly when I felt like they gave me no time to like even renew my lease or anything. I mean, to even find a place, so I had to settle for whatever I could get at that point because she just gave me like the last month. She was like, "I'm not gonna renew your lease. That's it. You gotta go." I'm like, "What the fuck? I didn't even do anything." So
And so, Richard, have you had similar experiences as well?
you had it. Or it's on the thing. I gave it back to you.
Yes, I've definitely had similar situations. Going back to what Terrence was saying with the gentrification. I was staying on the north side probably about like 5 years ago. And my landlord, I mean, I guess she just kept increasing like my rent and stuff like that. So fast forward to now, I've been out of there for like a long time. And so I go like and see like the listing, and like she listed the apartment for like way more than it's worth. And that just goes to show that like, she just basically just like wanted me out of there. You know what I mean? Or just basically like just trying to gentrify the neighborhood.
And so, a lot of you are talking about, experiencing discrimination or being pushed out. Have you been able to find resources that have helped you find housing, keep your housing, that are culturally competent and don't discriminate against you?
Yes, I have. Recently, he's not my landlord anymore, but the place that I live in now, the guy who owned the building, he was a gay male, so that kind of helped me. Like I said in the play, you'll see some of it in the play. Sometimes as a community, we have to come together and help our own. You know what I mean? So that definitely helped me and played a big part.
Thank you for that. And Miguel, like Richard said, we will see his story show out in the play. Can you talk a little bit about what the play is? What should people expect when they go to see the play this weekend?
So the play is a sitcom, so be prepared to laugh. We want people to, get a good laugh and enjoy, but we also want the people to really understand the severity of the issues of homelessness, especially when it comes to LGBTQIA people of color, and just people of color in general. We just really want to shed light to the process of the system, and how the system can fail you. And like Richard said, how sometimes you have to go into these places where, your people have to be the people to help you. A lot of times people are either overworked, don't feel like doing their job, they don't understand you or find you threatening, so they just want to hurry up and get you in and out. We want to highlight all of these issues, in the best way we know how. And again, like my colleague said, these are lived experiences. These are experiences that we've actually went through, and that's why we thought it was important to be very transparent, because when it comes to art, I feel like change comes when you touch people's hearts. You know what I mean? People, there's a certain type of way you got to come at people with things. People don't always understand, or everything's not transparent. So through art, I feel like you can touch hearts, and that's what we hope to do with this play.
Perfect. And can you also just talk about some of the issues around like the legal protections that impact Black queer people in Allegheny County?
So there are supposed to be protections in Allegheny County that they can't discriminate against you, you can't be discriminated in Allegheny County. There are protections that stop you from being discriminated against if you're gay, you're trans, based off of those criteria. But the issue is that because housing is so expensive here in the city of Pittsburgh, that a lot of those protections, Black LGBT people don't even get to enjoy them because they don't live in the city of Pittsburgh. They live in areas that are outside of that, which means there's a loophole for certain people, because we can't get those protections if we're not there, right? So if we're not in Allegheny County, we're not going to get those protections. But the housing, we're moving. Me and my partner, we're moving to a new place now, and in a few months, and the housing market for a decent 2-bedroom apartment is $1,000 in areas like the Hill District and East Liberty, and these are predominantly Black areas that have been gentrified, and now they're unaffordable for us.
Thank you so much for sharing that information, because I think a lot of times, sometimes people forget that there are resources that are out there to support them, like the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, when there are issues of discrimination and harassment, especially when it comes to affordability. But we're talking a lot about gentrification, and we know whether it's like East Liberty or downtown or Lawrenceville, people are literally being pushed out of their homes because they're being priced out. Is this a theme that's going to be discussed heavily within the play? Are we talking about gentrification during this play?
Yes.
I think we talk about it in the first scene, actually, not to give away too much of the play, but that's like the first thing we talk about in the play. The first scene is about rent increases, changing the neighborhood's dynamics from maybe not so urban to, somewhere economic that you can actually like sell property in.
And also like the things that happens to us when you come in and gentrify these areas. When you gentrify Black areas, you're pushing them out when not knowingly you're also putting them in certain situations that they have no control over. Um, and it's a struggle, you know what I mean? And like you were saying with resources, there's a lot of resources out here, but they're not made available enough to people of color. They're
And I
not told.
also think,
Go
I don't
ahead.
want to interrupt you, Miguel, but this is a recurring theme too, is that you have to be in the know to get the resources or to be a part of them, right? So, like,
Right.
if you're somebody who has never been is involved in social services, or you don't know where to go to get the help, like you named, what organization did you name, Miracle, that helps you with housing discrimination or whatever?
The
What was the name of
Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. So that's not something that I think that most people know, especially most a marginalized community like a Black LGBT community. We don't know that we can go and deal with the housing commission on a level that can actually help us. That's not information that's made available to us. So if you've never had to deal with getting
Yeah.
food stamps or going to Section 8 to get a house, how do you navigate that, right? What ends up happening is a lot of people they become homeless, right? Because
Right.
they don't know exactly where they can go or what they can do. And if they don't have girlfriends or friends that can give them that information, they're screwed. And that's what we want to avoid. We want to have the real conversation about how people who are involved in social services here in the city of Pittsburgh can really help the community that they claim that they serve.
See,
Right.
that was my next question. So I like how we're like working in sync here. You're asking people to come to the play, people who've been impacted by gentrification, people who've been impacted by housing discrimination, but you're also asking a lot of stakeholders to come, a lot of people who run the nonprofit sector. For those individuals who are coming, what is your call to action for them, for the change makers within this region of southwestern Pennsylvania? When they see this play, what do you want them to take away, and what do you want them to do? I'll start with you, Richard, then you, Miguel, then you, Terry. And you have to unmute.
Oh,
It's no problem.
oh sorry. um, Me personally, I mean, I would just challenge them to, take, just absorb everything that you've learned from the play, everything that you've seen, um, absorb, our experiences from our perspective, and, like, actually do something about it, like, whatever path that may take.
Um, to maybe piggyback a little off of what Richard said, really absorb and take in the play, and ask yourself the difficult question: Am I really helping the people that I'm serving? And I'm not doing the best that I can. Do I actually really care? Ask yourself the difficult questions, and if there are changes that you need to make those change. Take accountability and take action and make those changes. Also, if you're someone in a position of power with a certain type of influence, use that influence for good to help the people.
That was great, Miguel. I think my biggest thing for stakeholders, let's start with them because they're the ones in positions of power. My biggest thing with them is compassion. Would you treat your friend like this? Would you treat your mother like this, your brother, your sister, your cousin? I mean, because the reality when we talk about housing instability, I know what it's like to be cold in a Pittsburgh winter, and that's just a fact. And it ain't cute, and it ain't fun, and it's very uncomfortable. And that's when people are depressed in that way, that's when they make a lot of choices that they probably wouldn't want to make for themselves. And so what that comes to is sex work. and not getting a great wage for your sex work. And that comes into stealing, that comes into selling drugs. But these are the choices that people have to make when housing isn't available to them. And so for me, one of the biggest things that really drew me to this play is that it's interactive. And so we're going to ask the stakeholders in the play after it's over to talk about what we could have did differently as members of the play. What could the star, which is Mona, what she could have done for resources. I play a social worker in the play, and I also play a landlord. What the landlord could have done better. What the social worker that Mona meets and encounters, what they could have done better. I think those things are what is going to shed a light on a lot of the stakeholders. And let me just say this. If you see yourself in any of the characters that I play, you should be doing better.
So I'm thinking I was a little teaser that you may be playing the villain, nothing like in real life, but you're playing like a little villain in the play. So I think it was a little teaser. Mona, Terrence said you are the star of the play. Can you just talk a little bit about what was the process to putting the play together, to creating the different stories, how y'all voted on which stories to tell and which characters?
So I think it just grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we had to bring it back, and then we had to highlight stuff that we like real life times events were happening. So then I'm like, okay, let's play her. Let's let her have this happen, since this is happening in real life, and this is in someone's who has passed away, and she was living in the projects. So it's just like in her own environment, her own door got kicked down, and she got murdered. So, you just never know. It was like everything was happening in real time, and I feel like I even learned a little bit because some of the stuff I feel like it's really me. Like, what? This how y'all gonna treat me?
Thank you for like sharing that. So people should expect to feel all the feelings, even though it is a sitcom. Richard, can you talk a little bit about who your character is in this play and what people can look and be able to take away from your character?
I play two characters. I play a police officer in the one of the first scenes, and then towards the end of the play, I play a social worker. I think that one thing that people can take away from my character, especially the social worker, would probably be like the compassion aspect of it, and just like understanding your clients and understanding the community and the demographic that you serve.
Perfect. And then Miguel, can you just talk a little bit? When does the play run? Where can people get tickets? What time is the play? The very specifics about joining and seeing HUD this weekend.
So you can go onto all of our social media platforms and find the ticket. The ticket is also Miracle. I believe you put the link to the tickets on the group chat. So you can also find it there. We also have a group page called HUD Housing Under Distress on Facebook. So you can share that. Also, you can purchase tickets through there as well. And the ticket purchases, the event's free. I'm sorry. The event's free. So you just go on Eventbrite just to reserve the ticket. Okay. So yeah, those are the details for that. And it's going to be on Thursday and Friday on the 9th and 10th this week. It will be at the Hazlitt Theater downtown. It's a very central location. I'm sure everyone knows where downtown is. It's right on.
No, baby, it's Pierce Studios downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, 805 Pierce Studios. You can reserve your tickets with the link that we have there. We need you also to make sure that you have proof of vaccination cards, and you will also be wearing a mask in the play. And let's be very clear, this play is interactive. So we are going to ask the audience to participate with the play as well, which I think is one of the best things about it. So just be prepared to have a good time and to participate. There will also be drinks there, and it'll be right downtown, essentially, so you can get a drink before or after. But yeah, please come and support us, because again, this is just the first of many.
Mhm.
And
And
it's
just
definitely going to be fun.
I'm gonna look. I hope a lot of people come out. I mean, say it's the first of many. Why is it so important that you're using art, to share this message? You talked a little bit earlier about it, Miguel, but can the rest of you talk about like why is it so important doing a play? It's free. It's based right downtown. It's accessible. Why is it so important that people come and see themselves in this play?
I think that it's important, that being homeless is a hurtful feeling. Being homeless is a scary feeling. Being homeless is something like when all your girlfriends are be like, all right, girl, well, I'm gonna see you tomorrow, and everybody's leaving, and you still gonna be stuck downtown cold or wherever you are cold, and knowing you don't have housing stability. It's important that we shed a light on that, because we see so many different shows now, Pose, Legendary, and we also see a host of now Black LGBT characters in mainstream media, but that still hasn't caught up with the average Black LGBTQIA person. And there are many stories that we need to tell that sheds light on what our community looks like. And so I think through art, through Miguel's beautifully written script and Mona's great acting as the star of the play, and me doing a supporting role, as well as Richard and a few others, I think is going to start to shed a light on what we already know. Housing is healthcare. If you don't have a house, your quality of life is just awful, because you don't have anywhere to go. Where are you going to shower? Where are you going to change? Where are you going to do these things? And we take that for granted. Um, and we shouldn't, right? We're all blessed to be able to turn a key. No matter if you don't like your apartment that much or where you're staying at, it's a blessing to be able to have somewhere to stay, especially during the holiday season.
Perfect. And again, for people who are just joining us, Mona, can you just give us a 30-second synopsis about what HUD is for people who've just joined? Can you just talk a little bit about what the play is?
HUD is the pros and the cons of just gaining comfortable, sustainable housing.
Perfect.
Because it could
What?
be how long the wait is, if you have enough income, it could be the landlord tenant relationship, it could be the social workers who are supposed to be helping you cross those bridges. Um, yeah.
I thank you for that. I know you're still at work and you have to leave us soon. But can you just tell the people, a little bit about the work that you do and how they can reach out to you for resources before you go, Mona?
Oh, well, I work at Central. I started off with Miguel and Terrence at Project Silk. I then ventured out to work for Central Outreach, and you can hit me up on IG. My Facebook is my name on here, so you can reach me that way.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much. I know you said you had to go back to work, so you can just like stop your camera. And thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Please get your free ticket so you can see Mona off the clock, but on stage, doing a great breakthrough acting job this Friday and Saturday for HUD. But Richard,
Thursday and Friday. No, Thursday and Friday,
sorry,
babe.
Thursday and Friday for HUD. But Richard, can you talk a little bit about the work that you do and how people can get in contact with you?
I do like a little bit of community organizing. From now, like from now and then. But now I'm like a mobile nail tech. I could do nails and stuff like that from time to time. Um, you can follow me
Oh no, they cut off, but we'll get their contact information and we'll put it, in the chat. And so, Terrence, we're talking about housing, and you were like, Miracle, I want to talk about this, but this is real life. And a part of real life, you were talking about you were just, went through a situation where you had to advocate for yourself right before the program, and that's why you're mobile now. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that relates to all of the work that and organizing that you're doing?
So, one of the things that I find with certain people that aren't of color is that we intimidate them. Yesterday, I went to Walmart to get tires. I ordered them offline. They sent them there. When I got there, she said she only had 3 of my tires. I'm like, okay, well that's fine, but I paid for 4, so just fix it. You're like, that's not because of me. That's because of the oversight that you guys have. She was extremely rude. They end up finding the other tires. Scheduled my install today. I went up to get the install done, and immediately they're like, "Oh, your tires aren't the right size." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's no problem. Um, you know, just give me the tires that are on the size, and everybody's good." And then they're like, well, you ordered them on Walmart.com, so you have to call Walmart.com for a refund. And I'm like, well, I'm at Walmart right now. Why would I need to call Walmart.com? That makes no sense. Like, I know that I'm not going to get my money back right away, but just exchange the tires so I can get the install and we can keep the day going. And it just turned into a big thing. They called the police on me because I'm like, this isn't right. The way I'm being treated is not fair. And I'm somebody who advocates for myself. So I'm not playing those games. The police came, told me I had to leave. And that was that. But one of the workers came out because I was sitting on waiting for one of my friends to pick me up and said, they could have returned your tires. They just didn't want to because they didn't like how you were talking to them. So yeah, so they basically screwed me, and as you see, I have 4 huge tires in my backseat that I'm going to take back to the Monroeville Walmart tomorrow, and I'm also going to be on the phone with corporate tonight or tomorrow morning, and I'm sending emails because I just feel like I paid for a service and I should get that service. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's also nothing rises to the level of having the police called on you.
Right.
And especially during this time where people know that calling the police sometimes is a direct call for violence and really lethal force. And so that's something, again, we're talking about what discrimination and what people are perceived, as threats, or you perceive as you don't want someone, in your home. That's where discrimination and other things occur. And so we really want everyone to come out to this play this weekend. Please make sure that you're coming out, you're bringing your friends. I know you said that there are, beverages. Is this like an 18 up event, a 21 and up event? Or is this basically anyone can come, but you have to be a certain age to partake in the drinks?
Yeah,
Definitely.
all are welcome. If you're under the age of 18, you probably should have a chaperone with you. But that's not really, our call. Just all come, and I'm sure you will have to have ID if they're going to be serving alcoholic beverages. So, yeah, and wristbands and things like that. So, yeah, but everyone is welcome.
Okay. And Miguel, can you talk a little bit? I know you talked a little bit about Project Silk at the very beginning, but can you talk about the work that you do and how people can get in contact with you?
So I'm a service provider. I provide services down here at Project Silk, and also through Project Matters. Services such as HIV and STI testing. We're located down here at 304 Wood Street, downtown Pittsburgh, on the M floor. So again, we do HIV, STI testing, syphilis testing, hepatitis C testing, housing services, job application, resume building, clothing, if you need workwear, things like that. We also have food services. Honestly, you all, I don't feel like there's a services that we cannot provide. But we have a lot of community partners. So if there's something that is out of our capacity, we have our next door good neighbors that we can call on and make sure that you get everything that all the services that you are needed. I am co-founder here at Project Silk, Community Human Specialist. And yeah, that's my title, and that's what I do down here.
Oh,
Remember,
we won't. I'm sorry, we won't be serving drinks. I just heard that from the director. No drinks. But if you're downtown, you can walk to mini
Bring your
bars.
own. Just not really. But yeah, I think it's good because you said it's going to be interactive. You want people to be like really focused. And so, Terrence, can you talk about how people can find you, and a little bit about the work that you do, and how people can find you for services and support?
Yeah, well, my name is Terrence McGeorge on Facebook. Big T 128 on Instagram. And anytime, in the community, if you need a resource, I'm always somebody who connects people to resources in the city. I also do events as well. I'll be throwing a ball probably either in January or February. And ball is ballroom related things, which is like voguing and runway, and it's a competition that we have here in Pittsburgh. And I've actually been the only one throwing balls for the last year and some change. And so I just really want people to continue to support that. Also, Project Matters is an organization that me and Miguel started. Well, Miguel started it, and then he brought me on board. And Project Matters is really an advocacy group that offers arts and offers services and advocacy for Black LGBT QIA here, here in the city of Pittsburgh. So if anytime you have an issue, or you feel as though you've been discriminated against, or you feel as though you're not being treated fairly, or if there's an issue with your housing, or if there's an issue with a landlord or a job, please reach out to me or Miguel, and we will definitely do whatever we can to help.
Perfect.
and you can also follow us on Facebook, Project Matters, and also Project Silk on Facebook, like our pages. On Instagram, our page is Project Silk 412. Also, Project Silk 412 on TikTok.
Perfect. And like as we wrap up, I want to thank both of you for joining us. And correct me if I'm wrong. This is like the first Black queer led play that's been created, written, created, produced from top to bottom in the city. So this is also like a historic
Groundbreaking, boo.
a historic, groundbreaking, one of a kind, landmark, all of the things this weekend. I know you are like very passionate about this, and you're like, yeah, it's a display. But this is also like the first of the time that this has happened in the city where Black queer people are creating their own art and running it from top to bottom. And please making sure you support it because you should be paying for this, right? This is a play that you really should be paying for. So please, when you come, tickets are free, but bring some stuff to make donations. I'm pretty sure you'll have tables where people can make donations or purchase your art to support your organizations. But if not, when you go this weekend, please make sure you also donate to these great orgs as well.
Thank you so much, Miracle, for everything.
Of course. And thank you too for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Yes, absolutely. You too. Bye, everybody.
And with that was, the great illustrious cast and crew from HUD, which is Housing Under Distress. It is a free play that's going to be happening this Thursday and Friday, open for all. So please come, bring your friends, bring your family members, and it's going to be interactive. You're going to come, you're going to learn and figure out how you can actually help the fight for affordable, fair housing within this city, within this region. So please, you make sure you put that on your schedule of things to do this weekend. We know that there is, like I said at the beginning of the hour, a lot happening, but we are still here at the One Hood Media Network getting things off the ground. We still have a lot of programming for you. We will be shutting down on December 15th through about January 10th. So we can recoup, do some strategic planning, and just practice some great mental and self-care. But until then, this week we have a lot of cool programming coming for you. Tomorrow we are actually doing a show through Vanderbilt University. We'll post that on our social media, talking about the degrees of activism. That's going to be tomorrow from 5 to 6 p.m. On Wednesday. Wednesdays never change. As we saw tonight, white supremacy always reigns supreme. And there's been a lot of things happening, in the world as well as to our own staff members. So this Wednesday at 6 p.m., to be right back here for This Week in White Supremacy. Thursday, we have a really great show for you. First, we have On Tilt, which is the state of Black mental health in America at 12 p.m. But we also have Ask a Black Doctor this week. We know with the new variant, I know it's not the Amarion variant, but with the new variant coming, people have questions. But also, we've seen in the past, 6 months, a lot of Black men have been dying from cancer, from stroke, from overdose. A lot of notable deaths have been rocking our community. So we want to actually talk about your health as a Black man and what do men need to know about their health. So Ask a Black Doctor is going to be hosted by Farouk this Thursday at 7 p.m. So please make sure you turn in with your questions about COVID, flu, any type of exams, the prostate exams, your colon exams, any questions you have about health for you as a man or for the men in your life. So please tune in for Ask a Black Doctor Thursday at 7 p.m. Like I said last week, we are very honored and privileged to be doing a campaign about, safe use, safe injection sites. We've seen what's been going on just this week in New York City and how people's lives have been saved by these sites. And so we are still advocating that people do their best to protect their health. And with that, we're going to once again close this week's Power Hour with another one of our community PSAs because we think it's so very important to advocate for the community. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have a little extra resources and coins, we do ask that you continue to support, the One Hood Power team. We can always use your support as we close out this year. So if you have any more left for donations, please consider us. We're always forever thankful and grateful. And with that, this has been this week's edition of the Power Hour. We thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, I was here solo this evening as because our political director, Kahari, this is his 13th wedding anniversary. So he is celebrating. So if you see him and Chelsea out and about, please make sure you go and send them a big congratulations. And with that, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Miracle Jones, the Director of Policy and Advocacy here at One Hood Media. From Shock G to Michael K. Williams, our community has been hard hit with deaths impacted by the overdose crisis. It's very important that people understand that these tools and resources are available to make sure that whether they are a caretaker, taking care of a patient, a person who may have accidentally doubled up their prescription, someone who's microdosing, or someone who's using, that these are tools and resources that are available to them. Recently, the city of Pittsburgh decriminalized test strips. That means you are no longer at risk to getting arrested and incarcerated just for having these life-saving devices. Please, please, please make sure you carry Narcan with you. You never know when you'll be able to save someone's lives. Please, please, please use these test strips. It doesn't matter who your supplier is. Doesn't matter how much you trust the person you're sharing information with. You do not know what's being impacted by fentanyl. So it's very, very important that you use these test strips. Again, reach out to Prevention Point Pittsburgh so you know where to get information, where you can drop off needles, get your test strips, get your Narcan. You can also reach out to the health department for your Narcan supply. Thank you so much. Again, do what you can to save and protect your life.